Hello, I'm MrTieDye, and today I'm going to be doing one of the requests I've had, and that's for a skyfold. I had one tapestry that I did a while back that was similar to it. I'll show it to you right here. Hold on. Okay, so the difference between that one and what I'm doing today is I'm going to do one extra fold so that I have more of the lines, and then also in the center part, instead of leaving it blank, I'm going to fill it in with a mandala. So what I have here is tapestry that's been soaked in soda ash and hung to dry, and then I have folded it in half twice, mostly just for size of fitting on the table and inside the video here. So after it's been folded twice, here's the center. I'm going to fold it 2 more times. So it's just the airplane folds. So I'm going to fold that up, line my edges up and smooth things out. Fold that 1 more time. So on the other one, the picture that I just showed you, this was how far I did it. I fold the other side under, and then I had done my lines across here. So, but to do the sky fold from the pictures I saw, we're going to fold it 1 more time here, and then we'll flip it over and fold the other side. Once we get this done, then we'll have the giant airplane fold. I like to work on a dry tapestry that's been soaked in soda ash already, just because there's so many layers in here. You want the dye to be able to penetrate all of them, and when it's dry it acts like a wick. So for me, what I'm going to do is start out by drawing my line. So here's where I'm going to leave my mandala. Let's back that up right here. I'm going to draw a low line here. So I'm going to tie a little mandala in that part, and then the rest of the tapestry, I'm going to, well, let's start from up here. I'm just going to zigzag this line back and forth, and you want to go right over to the edges of the tapestry, and that's going to kind of connect your design together. And then I'm going to start folding from the bottom here, just because that's what I find the easiest to hold on to it once I've started it. So I'm just going to do accordion folds now. And this is, like I said, lots of layers of fabric, so you have to kind of make sure you gather all of them in there. And then I'm just going to line this up right on the top here. All this crooked line, I'm going to try and make it straight across the top. The hardest part is when you get to a corner and you have to just kind of work this around. Let's zoom back out. I just try to straighten my line out here to kind of line up, and it just makes it easier to fold it in. And back here on this side, you have to just kind of adjust your creases however they need to be. And I'm working out here in the middle of the table, but normally what I would do is I would rest this part against my body just to kind of hold it, so I don't have to hold it with my hand the whole time. But in order to show you on the video, we'll do it this way. So I'm just going to keep lining that crooked line up and just trying to keep it straight across. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but you want it to be fairly straight across the top here to get your design the way you want it. And you want to get your folds all about the same. You want to have even folds there as much as possible. Okay. And like I say, I just keep working this around. I try to always keep my next line where it's fairly straight coming on here, and it just makes it easier to fold that up. Yeah, see, this is where it would be easier if I could just rest it against. Well, I guess you guys can still see that, can't you? Let's back it up. So I'm just going to rest this here so that I can kind of work with both my hands and get the rest of this folded up. That's the other benefit. If you're working with a dry tapestry, you don't have to worry about your shirt getting wet from holding the tapestry there. Although if you're working with a wet tapestry, the folds tend to hold better on their own. They don't need quite as much force to keep them together. Okay, I just about got it here. Once I get down to my bottom part here, then we'll tie that off. I used kite string, but you can use rubber bands for this. So, hold things in place. Okay, a few times around there, and that's fairly good. I'm just going to fold the rest of this around here, and that will just add a little bit of a line on my corners. And then everything else, I'm just kind of tightening this around to kind of tighten things up. If you have it semi-tight on here, then the dye works better at wicking inside the dry fabric. So I like to tighten things up just a little bit before I tie it off completely. And once I get this tied, then we'll work on the mandala up here. I'll probably just do a Ron star on it. Okay. Oop. Work. Alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and tie this up. What I'm doing here is just going to be the Ron star mandala, and then we'll get into the dyeing of it. Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to dye the skyfold that we folded up in the last video. So, like I said, what I did here was tied up a Ron star mandala, and the rest of this is going to be the line on the skyfold. So I'm going to start out by dyeing right along that line, and I'm going to use some purple dye here. Got a small bottle, and this one here seems to be soaking in pretty good. That's the thing, sometimes working on a dry tapestry, if the dye doesn't want to soak right in. Let's zoom in and see a little bit of that. You can see the dye soaking in, but sometimes it'll bead up. And if that's the case, then I have a bottle back out of soda ash water, and I can just mist the top of this. That'll break the surface tension and allow your dye to penetrate easier. But this one's doing good, so we'll just go with it. And I'm going to try to poke this little nozzle I have here down inside these cracks just a little bit, just to try to get some dye in there. This is something, since there's so many layers of fabric, I'll come back to it a few different times and recolor this line. But if I stick this nozzle down inside, and I have other tools I can use to open things up here. If I can center the camera, let's zoom back out a little bit. So I can open the folds up and squirt the dye down inside. So you just want to make sure that you have a really nice line, because this is what's going to be your pattern on the skyfold. So it just takes a while of applying dye, and I don't spread out wide. I usually go with just the thickness of the line, because it's going to spread on its own. So I just keep dyeing right over the same path and just letting it soak in, and it'll slowly spread out and be a wider line. And then this here was where I drew the line across the bottom to separate where I'm going to put the mandala. Zoom back out a little bit. So I'm just dyeing straight across here. And then you can dye this in any number of ways. I'm going to put dye right along where I tied the sinew on here. I'm going to go along each one of these lines. And I'm just dyeing right on top of the sinew. And of course then it's soaking in on both sides. And just keep going back over this same line. I'm dyeing either side of the purple line now with the turquoise. And once again, all of the colors that I put on here, I'm going to go back over several times and apply another layer, just because it'll take a while to soak in. And there are times where I'll get it all dyed, set it aside, come back to it an hour later and apply another coat of dye to it. And this is something you can experiment. Dyeing there's lots of different ways. I'm going to use just one more color. I'm going to put green on the outer edges here. And of course you'll see how that turns out in the video, but the reveal video I'll do later for this. But to start with, you're going to have your purple line that's going to zigzag, and it's going to create kind of a star effect in its own. It's hard to explain. Not sure why it's called the sky fold, but that's what somebody requested, so I looked it up and seen what they were talking about, seen that it was similar to one that I had done, so I decided to go ahead and make this video for y'all. Alright, let's put another coat of purple on. Move into the green. And then I'm going to put the same colors on the other side that I did on this side. Also, before I started, I flipped it over, and along where I tied this line here on the other side, I could see, and so I drew a similar line on the back side where we're going to put our purple line. So we're just going to put the dyes in the same places on both sides. So we'll go into fast forward mode. Okay, so I continue to add dye to the skyfold design. I've come back a few times, and I like to just keep on putting the dyes in the same places and letting it soak in, leaving it sit, come back, and I do it again. You want to do this until everything really kind of feels squishy in there. If you come back to it and it looks dry, then that means the dye has soaked in and you probably need to add more. But if when you come back to it, it looks kind of damp and it squishes up easily when you push on it, then you probably have enough dye in there. So I'm just going to keep on doing this, and then I'll put it in my container, let it sit up for at least 24 hours, and then I'll wash it out. Okay, I dyed up, folded and dyed the skyfold the other day, and I said I would do a reveal video, so here it is. So I've started out by doing a bunch of rinsing just to get some of the excess dyes out. You can see some of this has come unfolded. So what I'm going to do is just cut the rest of these strings off of here, and then we'll get this opened up. So that's the strings. I have to still undo the sinew that I tied up in the middle of the shirt to do the star mandala. So get that off of there. Okay, so let me widen this out a little bit so you can see it. Hold on. Okay, so here is the star mandala. So to start with, you can see that line, the purple line, going all the way down the design. So now we're going to open this thing up and see what we got. Okay, there is the star, or skyfold. Thank you for watching. If you like my videos, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, because I will be doing more. I'm MrTieDye, and I'll be back for more videos. Thank you.